This video will be a brief look at adding and subtracting linear expressions. So we've got this example here, x plus 3 plus 2x minus 1. Now, the first thing that I always encourage when we're looking at adding expressions, or really anytime we're looking at an algebraic expression, I like to rewrite everything as addition. So we can identify here, we have a total of 4 terms. We have x plus 3 plus 2x minus 1. Now, I prefer, again, to rewrite each of these terms as being added. And when I have subtraction, I'm going to write that as adding the negative. This just helps make sure we're keeping track of all of our negative and positive signs. So if we rewrite this as x plus 3 plus 2x plus negative 1, it's just going to help us keep track of all of our positive and negative signs. And we know that adding the opposite is the same thing as subtracting. Meaning, right, subtracting 1 is the same as adding its opposite, negative 1. But this is just an easier way for us to think about this problem. So now we're just adding, so we have x plus 3 plus 2x plus negative 1. And it's a matter of combining like terms. So we'd have x plus 2x plus 3 plus negative 1. We know that x plus 2x is 3x, and 3 plus negative 1 is 2. Let's look at another example. So again, we're going to start by rewriting all of these as addition, right? Separate all of our terms with addition. So we have negative 8z plus positive 4 plus positive 8z plus negative 7. Then we're going to combine like terms, so we have negative 8z plus positive 8z plus 4 plus negative 7. Negative 8z plus 8z would be 0. And 4 plus negative 7 is negative 3, so we get negative 3 here. Okay, now we're looking at subtracting. And subtracting, it gets a little bit trickier here. But again, let's follow the same process. So let's start by rewriting this as adding the opposite. So again, just starting in parentheses, we've got m minus 3, so we will rewrite that as m plus negative 3. And then for now, we'll leave this as subtraction. We've got negative m plus, okay? And then remember, we're going to rewrite all of our subtraction as adding the opposite. So here we have this negative, okay, and that negative, we're subtracting both of these things. So if we want to change this to addition, we need to add the opposite of both terms. So the opposite of negative m is going to be positive m, and the opposite of positive 12 would be negative 12. So we would now have m plus negative 3 plus m plus negative 12. We combine like terms, m plus m is 2m, negative 3 plus negative 12 is negative 15. So we can write it as 2m plus negative 15, or simply 2m minus 15. Okay, now another way that we can look at this, right? Because what we're doing, we're using the distributive property here and distributing this negative to both terms in parentheses. So another way to view this problem, and I'm going to write it over here, is to treat this negative here, right, as adding negative 1, which is being multiplied by each of these terms. Right, because this negative really represents, I'm multiplying negative 1 by both of these terms. And again, now we're adding that opposite. Negative 1 times negative m would be positive m, and negative 1 times 12 would be negative 12. So you can view it that way as well. And then we're just going to combine those like terms again. Again, m plus m is 2m, and negative 3 plus negative 12 is negative 15. So 2m plus negative 15, or 2m minus 15. All right, let's look at this last example. We have negative 2c plus 5 minus 6.3c plus 20. So again, we have this negative here. So we could go ahead and rewrite that as adding negative 1 times 6.3c plus 20. Then we're going to do that multiplication using the distributive property. Negative 1 times 6.3c is negative 6.3c, and negative 1 times 20 is negative 20. So now we have negative 2c plus 5 plus negative 6.3c plus negative 20. So now we're going to combine like terms. So negative 2c plus negative 6.3c and 5 plus negative 20. So here we get negative 8.3c, and then 5 plus negative 20 is going to be negative 15. So negative 8.3c plus negative 15, or simply negative 8.3c minus 15.